Hello, Munich. Hello, Germany. And hello, Europe. Well, it's really my pleasure to be here. This is the first time I've ever been in Munich, and I have to say the reception from the people here has been outstanding, and the products and the synergy of the science behind what Jeunesse has created, you're going to learn more and more about. And as I talk more about the Zen body system, I think what you're going to see is the real science behind this program and how it's been designed. You know, I was the first board-certified anti-aging physician in the world, and that goes back 20 years ago. And you know, over these 20 years, I've had personalized, if you will, health or anti-aging programs for very, very elite, select people. The exact same science that's designed behind the Zen system is exactly what I was using for years. But what we've been able to do at Jeunesse is bring that science down to an easy system for everyone to be able to use without the need of a physician monitoring things. So it's with my pleasure that I can not only explain the system and science behind this, but really start to show you, and we're going to show you 2 examples of how this system works in people who are over 60 and in people who are young. So if any of you think it's too late to transform your body, you're wrong. If you think it's too young and you don't have the information or the willpower to do it, you're wrong. Because with this system, both of these groups, both of the groups of people that we see in Jeunesse and are part of Jeunesse have proved that this works. So with that, I think we'll get started. Okay, so the Zen body system. The Zen body system is a series of products that really, really compensate for the aging process that occurs in every human being. Now, I have 2 medical textbooks that physicians use to train. I have 6 other books out on Amazon.com for the general layperson to try to understand this. And I'm going to explain to you one of the most obvious signs of aging that's changes in our body composition in just a few minutes. And so with that, we'll get started. What is the Zen body system? It is a way of overcoming the aging process that occurs in every one of us, no matter how old you are, by understanding how to manipulate key hormones and the new science behind these natural occurring compounds that can do this. Okay. So it actually addresses the root cause of why our metabolism changes as we age and our bodies change. And it's going to give you the tools, not only for yourself, but to explain to the people you present this program to how they can dramatically change their life. And I want to make a comment. This is not about just looking good, okay, and fitting in your clothes. The Zen body system, by doing what it does, by altering the ratio of body fat and muscle mass, is going to improve your blood pressure. It's going to improve your cholesterol levels. It's going to improve your mood. And in essence, it's going to make you a younger you. Okay? So I want to show a few examples of what's happened with time with people who really don't know what Jeunesse knows. Now, we're all familiar with James Bond about 18 years ago. And unfortunately, Pierce Bronson did not have the Jeunesse system, nor did he come to see me, and he should have. So here's what happens with the aging process, okay? He's trying harder now. I did speak to him recently. He's trying harder. Captain Kirk, for those of you who go back a little bit further. Now, this guy was traveling the universe, fighting all types of aliens, and he had to be in shape. Today, unfortunately, he's on the beach, and he also did not have the secrets to what we're going to show you now. So what I'm trying to show you is, even though you might be some of the most famous people in the world, you might have all the money you could possibly have, without the science behind Jeunesse, that's where you're going to end up. And we don't want you to be there, okay? So the myth about weight loss programs and diets, the secrets of what we've searched for, we really have the answers now, okay? And again, going back to what's in my fancy medical textbooks and even some of the books for the public, it was a little difficult even then to explain, but I think we have it down. So what happens as we age is, you know, there's quite a few young people in the crowd here. And if you take a look at these young people, we're all walking by and you go, gee, look how nice and slim and fit they are. I wonder why. And you know, those of us who are in their 50s or maybe their 60s or older, we go to the gym, we really try, we watch what we eat, and we don't seem to get the benefit that we used to get out of this. I'm going to explain to you why we don't and how you can fix that. Okay? So here's basically what's happened with diets over the past 30 years. Okay, and I have had the opportunities to know very well and have as a colleague Dr. Atkins, a number of other very famous diet doctors who said to me, you know, Vincent, my diet really works. Okay, and when people are on our diet, they lose weight. And my comment used to be, and as soon as they get off your diet, they gain back that weight. So what was happening with that was, if you are a person, and this special x-ray shows the body fat on your skeleton. So basically all standard diets in the past, until now, would have you cut your calories, do some exercise, decrease the quantity of foods you eat. But basically here's what happened. You became a smaller, skinnier, a smaller fat person. So your ratio of body fat and muscle mass didn't change, okay? But what you really did is became a small fat person. Now, we don't want you to lose muscle mass and body fat. In fact, we want you to gain muscle mass and we want you to lose body fat together, because that's the secret. Okay? And if you look at people, for instance, who exercise regularly and are young, you look at the young people walking around today, you're going to see they have a little bit of body fat, they're much more toned, and that's because of their hormones. Okay. So today's diets fail because they do just that, okay? They don't understand the science behind this phenomenal product. So what happens is, if you look at young people or you look at somebody who's been on a medically directed hormonal dietary program, or somebody who has been on Genesis program, here's what you would see. You'd see the same person going from this to this, and what you see is loss of body fat. You see increased muscle mass, okay? And along with that, aside from the appearance, if you looked at their chemistries, you would see drops in triglycerides, drops in cholesterol, drops in blood sugar, drops in inflammation, and all the markers we look at, CRP, the interleukin markers, all these fancy things. So this is not just a dietary or weight management program to make you look better. It's a program to help you age better, stay healthier longer. So you really need to understand the value of what this program brings you, not just a cosmetic appeal, but enhanced health. Okay? So how do we get there and maintain it, and what are the causes in the first place? Okay, let's go into a little bit of a simplified kind of hormonal explanation and lecture. So basically, this program is not about losing pounds, but it's about losing inches in the right place. And what happens to just about virtually everybody, they'll say, you know, gee, you know, I may have lost 4 or 5 pounds, but all my clothes fit better. My pants aren't so tight. My jackets fit tighter, or in my dresses, I just look better. I have more of a waistline. That's what you begin to see when you change your body composition. More muscle, less body fat. Okay, so if we go back to the causes of what happens to us year by year, the most common causes, we start to increase inflammation in our body. Okay? And everybody knows as they get up in the morning, they start to get a little more achy. Their joints might ache a little bit. You feel like, gee, this is something new. I really don't recall feeling this way. And year by year, it gets a little worse. So let me tell you what the secret is. As you gain body fat, okay, you do not grow new fat cells. Okay, so this is a misnomer. So basically, when you're 18, 19, you might have 500 million fat cells. But as you age, each one of those fat cells gets bigger as you gain weight. And as it gets bigger and bigger, and as your blood sugar starts to go up because, you're getting certain other changes cause that blood sugar to go up aside from being lazy and eating the wrong foods, that big fat cell starts to produce compounds it didn't produce before. And I'm going to explain to you how those compounds, each one of your fat cells, are the cause of this. Okay? So the inflammation leads to an inhibition, or if you will, a coating of a special hormone that's also produced in those fat cells. So the fat cells really produce a compound called leptin, okay? Another compound called adiponectin, another compound that actually causes you to gain fat, that's G3DPH, which we're going to talk about, and I'll show you how to remember all these things. But it produces a group of hormones. When it's small and young, it doesn't produce the bad ones, it only produces the good ones. When you get older and gain fat in your body and that cell grows, it starts to produce bad compounds. So in essence, every one of the fat cells in your body is a little micro pharmacy that you have to learn to control. Okay? So inflammation, okay? This leads to loss of muscle. It leads to a slower metabolism. And just as a comment, 5 pounds of muscle burns 250 calories a day, even if you're sitting. So what do bodybuilders know? The more muscle they have, they build muscle, they burn more calories, and they stay slimmer, okay? If your muscle mass starts to deteriorate, your posture, you start to stoop, your legs hurt, you don't have any energy, the stability, this is why older people, as they walk, you'll see them kind of go like this. They've lost the muscle tone to keep their legs and posture up. If your posture goes out, you start having back pain and pain shooting down the back of your legs, okay? And as you get older, it's harder to build muscle even if you exercise, and we're going to show you how to compensate for that. So inflammation is one of the root causes of all these things, okay? Besides in general inflammation, what else causes you to gain body fat and upset the ideal hormonal balance? Well, here's the thing. Sugar, okay? Anything that's pretty much white, and I hate to say this because we all love this, vanilla ice cream, pasta. Are the Italians here? Okay. I'll explain to you how we can eat pasta and still actually lose weight in a minute. Okay, anything that's white, potatoes. You look at white, you know you're going to gain body fat. Keep that in mind. The other thing is having too much fat on the body, especially in the gut. Injuries that don't allow you to move, and there's an excuse, gee, I hurt my knee, I really can't get out there and walk. Processed foods, white flours, we talked about that. Trans fats or partially hydrogenated fats. If you start looking at the labels of the food you buy, and you see this, partially hydrogenated fat, put it down. Okay, stress. Anybody in this audience has zero stress in their life? Any hands? Okay, here's the answer to that. Lack of sleep. Now, I'm going to mention a couple of things that are really important. If you don't sleep enough, your body cannot repair the cells that have been used during the day and damaged during the day through the normal process of aging. And if you think you're going to get away with 2 or 3 hours of sleep or 4 or 5, you will age quicker and you will stay fat. Okay? Lack of movement. We all need to exercise. Gluten allergies are a very big topic. If you have a gluten allergy, it's something you should do to basically really try to avoid gluten foods. Why? If you have a gluten allergy, your inflammatory levels are 2 to 3 times higher than someone who isn't, and we saw what inflammation does. Foods that have been genetically modified, we don't know what the hell they're going to do. And we don't know 5, 10 years from now what those genetically modified genes in the food you're eating is going to do to you. I would strongly suggest you stay away from them. So, the body reshaping and youth enhancement, the first thing we want to do is start to enhance our muscle gain, okay? The more muscle you have, the more fat you burn, and the lower your blood sugar stays. So minimizing muscle loss or gaining muscle has been really one of the focuses of the Zen Body Fit. So let me just take a moment to explain to you what's happening to everybody in this audience who's 40 and over. Okay. As we age, our intestines, which are one of our most... Who's 40 and over? It's like the majority. Okay, I'm in that category too, so don't worry. And I fixed it. Now I'll show you how I fixed it for me. And I'll tell you how we can fix it for you. See, as you age, your intestines age quicker. Okay, so when you eat food, when the people are here in their 20s, 30s, if you put in 20 grams of protein, your intestines have the digestive enzymes, the probiotics, the bacteria that are normal bacteria to take that protein and turn it into the tiny little pieces of building blocks your body needs to make muscle, to make hormones. Once you hit 40, your body's intestinal activity or ability to absorb and digest food starts to drop dramatically year by year by year. So when you're in your 60s, if I gave you 20 grams of protein, you'd be lucky to digest 4 or 5 grams, the way it comes from food. So now you're getting a better idea why not only food choices are important, but why you need to supplement. So one of the key things that has been designed into the Zen Body Fit program is a unique form of protein, that branch chain amino acids that you do not even have to digest. It go right through your intestinal wall, whether you're 30, 60, 80, or 90. That's the initial way to start building more muscle. Okay? So let's take a look at the key hormones. I'm going to give everybody a little mnemonic here. And at the end of this, I'm going to give everyone in the room a little test and see if you can remember. So leptin, okay? Anybody heard of leptin? Some of you people read a little bit. Well, before you leave today, you'll be hormonal experts. And frankly, I will tell you from this little lecture, you'll know more than your doctor will about why you gain weight. And what's important about that is when you talk to your friends about this program, you need to understand why it works, because if they hear you explaining that you understand it, it's an easy job to get them to start to take the products and really see the difference. So leptin lets you know when you're full. Everybody say that? Leptin lets you know when you're full. Okay? You're going to remember that. Here's what happens. From the fat cells, every fat cell in our body produces, as I said, it's a little micropharmacy. It produces a protein called leptin. Gets into our bloodstream and actually goes through the tiny blood vessels into the brain and shuts the brain's appetite center off. If your leptin levels are high, you do not want to eat. Okay? So this is the first secret. We have to learn how to keep those leptin levels high and not be interfered with. So let me give you an example. If you're in your 20s, 30s, or maybe early 40s, you're going to eat a hamburger, okay? That hamburger is going to send a message to your fat cells that, gee, you're hungry. Or you're not hungry anymore. You've eaten that protein and carbohydrates. It will normally go to your brain and turn off the appetite center. If you've gained weight and you have a lot of body fat cells, here's what happens. That hamburger you eat, you digest the carbohydrates, the proteins, and the fats. Okay? The fat cell, because it's now this big bulbous thing, has started to produce a compound called CRP, or C-reactive protein. And what the reactive protein does is wrap itself around the leptin molecule or coats it. It tries to get into the brain, but it can't. And so your appetite is not turned off. So this is why when you're sitting at a restaurant or a dining room table at home, and you ate your whole dinner, and gee, you feel like you're still hungry, and maybe I'll have dessert, it's because that little leptin molecule hasn't gotten to your brain to give you the message you really should stop. So that happens as those fat cells get bigger, we gain more, we have that inappropriate message. Okay, leptin and leptin resistance. So basically, as that leptin molecule, which lets you know when you're full, becomes unaffected, and when it gets wrapped with that inflammatory protein CRP, that's what we call leptin resistance. It's resisting its effect. Okay? So our bodies have the perfect system to keep our body composition and the fat and health range and the fat in our healthy range optimally by using leptin. You know, I have in our medical practices, especially anti-aging practices, I have injections I can give people and raise their leptin levels to the ceiling. Problem is, in a day or two, they're making so much of that bad CRP, even what I inject into them gets coated, so it doesn't work after a day or two. So the real secret is what we're going to show you. If you have too much of the CRP, that's the wrapping protein, it inhibits leptin's job. Okay? And guess what? The CRP sticks to the leptin molecule, makes it impossible for it to get to the brain and do its job. And Zen Body Shake helps to restore the balance because there's compounds in there that have been published and shown on a national basis to actually help your leptin molecule work better and unwrap some of that bad stuff. Okay. The second secret is adiponectin. So out of the fat cell, when it's young, these nice, thin, muscular people, their fat cells are producing a lot of leptin, a lot of adiponectin, okay? And what does adiponectin do? It aids leptin, okay? It helps leptin do its job. And what else are those young fat cells in the nice thin young people doing? They're not making any of this CRP or the bad protein. So leptin has help, and other important fat signals that the Zen body system supports is adiponectin. So when we have an abundance of this protein, abundance of leptin, our bodies start to lose body fat. Our appetite gets turned off, and we're starting to restore the balance of these youthful hormones that we had years ago. Okay? Our waist is smaller, our heart is healthier, our cholesterol levels go down. We start to build more muscle mass and we have more energy, so it's easier to stick to our exercise routines, okay? So there's one more little thing. This is a fancy little compound also produced by the fat cells, which we don't want. So now we have two good ones, leptin, adiponectin, and two bad ones. Each one of those fat cells are going to produce as you gain weight and they get too big. Okay? Glycerol-3 phosphodehydrogenase. I like to look at, God, please decrease my heaviness. And if you remember these little things, it'll help you remember the names of these things. So if you want to decrease my heaviness, okay, here you go. God, please decrease my heaviness. Glycerol-3 phosphodehydrogenase. Forget about. Understand what it does. It helps keep you fit. And how does this work? So leptin has help with G3-PDH in that what this does is actually helps. It's a major enzyme and helping converting the blood sugar in your stored cells to stay low. So anything that raises your blood sugar makes your fat cells bigger. Okay? Hate to say this. Cake after dinner, ice cream. All of these things will make you fat. The Italians, I grew up in a Sicilian family, we had pasta every night. Every night it was a side dish. It wasn't farfalle or spaghetti, it was rigatoni. And then we had the tomato sauce with sugar and wine. And I didn't understand why everybody in my family was fat. I understand. Okay, so now what we want. Zen body system helps to inhibit this enzyme, and there's a key compound in the Zen body system that helps reduce the impact of blood sugar, which makes starch, which makes fat cells. Okay? And then in published studies, this is really shown to have a major, major impact by reducing fat production by almost 80%. Okay? So if you are a diabetic, what does the doctor give you? He gives you insulin. He gives you other medications that help drop your body fat. Well, you don't need prescription medications if you understand the science behind the system. Okay, let's look at another one. So leptin has help also. The other important signals to keep two things going, that is to keep your appetite suppressed and to keep you in a good mood, okay, are norepinephrine. Now this is a neurohormone, and I want to make a comment. Your gut and your brain are directly connected. And I don't know how many people know that. But if your intestines aren't working, you're depressed. The neurotransmitters that keep your brain working optimally, many of them are produced in your intestines. And there's a direct communication system between your intestines and your brain. And your mood, whether you're happy, sad, or whatever, is directly related to how well your intestines are working. Okay, so norepinephrine naturally increases thermogenesis also. That means the higher your norepinephrine levels are, the more efficiently you burn fat. So if you're a happy person, usually you burn more fat, okay? And the only time fat people are happy is when they're eating. And then when they stop eating, they get sad, okay? So it's been shown that a nutrient in Zen body shape affects metabolism by supporting optimal levels of norepinephrine. And we'll get into this in a minute. So I don't want to overwhelm you with all these fancy hormonal names, but I want you to understand the connection between your intestines or your gut and your brain. It's a major, major component to why people gain weight as well. Okay. There's a special compound also in the Zen body system called L-tyrosine. Now, L-tyrosine is an essential metabolite for your thyroid. So anybody here who's 35 or 40, their thyroid levels now are starting to take a nosedive. And when your thyroid levels go down, you don't burn body fat, you don't have the energy you used to have, okay, and you don't feel quite as happy too. So one of the key things is to help keep your production of thyroid hormone, and by the way, thyroid's at least three hormones. T3, the active hormone, T4, the inactive hormone, and there's actually reverse T3, there's TSH, there's all these combinations of thyroid hormones. And why I mention this is unless your body, each one of the 100 trillion cells in your body has the certain right minerals, zinc, selenium, you're not going to make your thyroid hormones, okay? Now, one of the benefits of AM/PM Essentials is it supplies the other ingredients that help virtually everything in the Zen system work even better. And we're going to talk about that in a bit. So L-tyrosine has been shown to be converted into norepinephrine as well, which is why you see people running around, they have a lot of energy, these young people, because they not only have thyroid hormone for energy, but that thyroid hormone is making noradrenaline, which is one of their brain transmitters that makes them happy. Okay, let's look at just a couple other things. Food and exercise. Healthy fat loss and body reshaping depends on the types of food you eat. And I get this all the time. I have patients come into my office and say, doctor, I took your hormones, I'm not cheating on my diet, I'm not eating carbohydrates, I'm not having my dinner after 8 o'clock at night, and I never can lose weight. So I shake my head and say, give me your finger, put your finger out. I think I have a little test, I just hit their finger, get 1 drop of blood, and I look at the fructosamine levels. When I look at that and I see it's 200, I know they've been lying to me, because that tells me their average blood sugar over the last month. So when I show them that, they start to admit, well, maybe I did have my ice cream before I go to bed, and maybe I have cheated a little bit, so there are ways of knowing who's cheating and who's not. But the key thing here is the following. There's an old saying, you need to have breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, and dinner like a pauper. Anybody hear that before? Well, you know what? That's old wives' tale type stuff. It's one of the most valuable pieces of information. So breakfast should be your highest protein meal. Should be a high protein meal, but it should be your highest carbohydrate meal, because you're going to burn those off during the day. Lunch, you should add a little bit more protein, which is why the Zen Pro shake is something you want to take during the lunchtime, okay? And dinner, you should have the highest amount of protein and the least amount of carbohydrates. So if you look at this, you start in the morning with protein, lunch is higher, dinner is higher. But you look at your carbs in the morning, they're the highest, lunch is lower, and dinner is the lowest. If you follow that little inverted cross, guaranteed to be successful, okay? So the other thing you need is fiber. Well, why is fiber important? Because fiber will help absorb a lot of the toxins that are used to digest food. Your gallbladder, your stomach makes all these, if you will, very caustic compounds that unless there's enough fiber, the fiber can't absorb those and move those out of your body, and guess what happens? More inflammation. Okay, you must have the correct amount and type of bacteria in your gut. Okay, so this is another key thing. Remember I said as you age, your intestines age, probably one of the most rapid organs in your body. So unless you're getting different types of lactobacillus, and really the Zen body system has products that help replace that, the AM/PM product has also bacteria that help you replace that as well. So again, looking at the synergy, the design on how these products work together, you're going to see more and more why the science of Jeunesse is not about creating a product, but understanding the aging process at the cellular level and making sure all the products not only don't conflict, but actually work together. Okay? Exercise. Okay, exercise. This is something everybody hates to hear, and everybody has a guilt feeling about. Okay? Everybody here, I spoke to people last night, and they say, I'm too busy. I can't exercise. Well, here's the thing. Simply, the studies in the National Heart Society, the studies in the New England Journal of Medicine show that if you just walk 20 minutes, just walk, put the TV on your treadmill, walk for 20 minutes 3 times a week, you'll lose body fat, you'll lose weight. So I don't mean going to the gym and pumping weights or doing crazy things, just walk. And during the day, instead of taking the elevator, walk up the flight of steps, 3 or 4 flights. Instead of parking your car and fighting for the space next to the door, park it at the end of the lot and walk. Every little bit adds to that. But the secret is 20 minutes a day, minimum 3 3 times a week. And guess what? If you do it in the morning, before you have all your other carbohydrates, you'll lose weight even quicker. So it's going to decrease your fat storage, decrease your appetite, help control your hunger, decrease your cravings. Cravings are due to the fact that your blood sugar levels during the day are high, and then when you're not taking blood sugar levels drop. That's when you are craving a piece of cake or chocolate. If you use the Zen system, your blood sugar levels stay pretty much stable throughout the day, and you don't have these cravings. It decreases your desire for sugary and overly sweet foods. You'll feel full longer. Okay, so that's another thing. The secret is, even if you drink water during the day, your stomach is full, that decreases the signals to your brain that you want to eat something. Okay, benefits. Feeling that they have more energy. Well, just about everybody on this program feels like they have more energy. Feeling in a great mood. Your norepinephrine levels have gone up. Okay? Your thyroid levels have gone up. Feeling easier to move their body, because as time goes by, you have more muscle mass, you're able to move more efficiently, and you just feel more youthful. You're feeling younger. You're looking more youthful. Let me tell you an interesting thing. When you lose body fat, remember I said, and the fat cells get smaller, you're making less inflammation. The less inflammation you have, the younger your skin looks. Okay? So decreasing inflammation is one of the best ways to have better skin. And that starts here in the gut, because whatever you eat is going to create inflammation or not, as well as the topical Luminesce products that are designed to decrease inflammation from the outside in. Okay. Having more youthful body shape. Well, every human being is born with the vanity gene. I don't know one human being that doesn't have the vanity gene. And guess what happens as you get older? The vanity gene gets turned on more and more. So how do we fix that? You really make a commitment to help restore a more youthful body shape. Okay, and that's a big, big, big plus. Okay, so the 3 main products that make up the system in science are the Zen Body Shape, Zen Body Fit amino acid drink, Zen Body Pro Shake. Okay, the 2 core products. Let's talk about this for a minute. The 2 core products of the system are the Zen Body Shape. This is the capsules. You take 30 to 60 minutes before your 2 main meals. It contains a special natural fruit extract, Ervingia gabanensis, chromium picolinate, green tea extract. All the last 2 help with thermogenesis. The other one helps with suppressing your appetite. Okay? So the key things here are to make sure you take at least those 2 products. And frankly, you really need the third one. I wouldn't say this is core. I would say all 3 of these products are core. Okay? Okay, so the first product is the Zen Body Shape. These are the capsules that help suppress your appetite, help burn body fat. You take them before you eat. The next product you're going to take also is Zen Body Fit amino acids. Remember what we said, everybody in here is probably the vast majority over 40. If I gave you the perfect meal 3 times a day, low carbohydrates, high protein, the right nutrients and vitamins and minerals, you probably wouldn't be able to absorb more than 20 or 30% of it. What you're going to be able to do with this is get the extra protein and other key nutrients you need to build muscle and to decrease inflammation. Okay. The Zen Body Pro Shake is another way of, during the day, getting that extra protein you need. Okay? And instead of eating one of these energy bars, which usually have 300 calories, and if you look at them, the glycemic index is absurd. It'll blow your sugar to the ceiling. You'll feel better, but you're going to be gaining weight. You take 1 packet with some 10 ounces of water. I like it with my almond milk, okay? And you can use this as a snack anytime. I'll tell you the other little secret nobody knows. I didn't even mention this. I make that and I freeze it. And you can just pull it out and eat it like a little ice cream snack at night, which is kind of cool. So what I do, like at night I do this, and I have them in my office, and sometimes I'm having lunch, and my nurses say, you're cheating again. I go, yeah, I'm cheating again. I freeze them in a little, you have your little ice cube trays, you pop out 3 or 4 of them, and you just eat them cold. They're great, and guess what? Your cravings are taken care of, and no one's got to know you're doing something good. Okay, so you can choose this, okay? This is the effect. This is what happens to Pierce Bronson and James Kirk. People didn't hear what I'm telling you, who didn't understand what I'm telling you, or you can start looking like this, and it doesn't take long, okay? So the science and the products from Jeunesse have all been designed to really, really impact the aging process at the cellular level and the hormonal level. Okay. So let me make a couple comments. How many people in the room here are 60 and over? Did I see a show of hands? How many 50 and over? Okay, now we're getting closer. Now I'd say at least 50%. How many 40 and over? Well over. Okay. I'd say there's about 60% of the people here are 40 and over. So, how many people here are taking AM/PM? Good. Okay, so let me just tell you a little bit about AM/PM. You know, we did a national study on patients or clients taking the product. The most common thing we got back on how they felt, okay, this is over 400 people. They slept better. When you sleep better, you burn more body fat. Second thing is they had more energy. When you have more energy, you walk around more and your day is better. Third thing, their skin looked better. Less inflammation because there are ingredients in there. And the fourth thing, most of them reported losing 2 or 3 pounds. But their big thing was their clothes felt better, fit better. Now that's without the help of the Zen system. So what I'm trying to tell you is that if you add AM/PM to the Zen system, okay, your results are going to be noticeably better. And why? Because AM/PM has been designed to work inside of each one of the 100 trillion cells to take that cell where it's going to be more receptive to all the other things that are in the Zen system. So ideally, my philosophy is let's make every cell work better and then give it the other things we need so that it can balance and do the job that it used to do. So anyway, at 60, I took this picture, AM/PM again. If you're taking it, combine it, okay? So at 63, that's where I was last year. I thought I was in pretty good shape for 63. Okay, I work at it. So I figured, let me try the Zen system too, because I've been using my medical version and some of the Zen products. I became religious. I stopped my doctor program and I figured, let me try this for about 4 weeks. So 2 days ago, I took that picture. Now that was just a little selfie, but that's at 64 in a few months. So bottom line is, I can do it. Okay? You can do it, and there's no excuse. I'll make one more comment, and that's this. Every one of us have bad habits, right? Maybe we don't eat right, maybe we don't exercise right, but it's a habit. Once you establish a new habit, it's just as easy to maintain a new habit as it is to maintain an old habit. The secret is having the energy and commitment and information to go from the bad habit to the good habit. The Zen system gives you that information. And the AM/PM product helps you get there as well because you're going to sleep better and have more energy. So there is no excuse. You have the information. Every one of you here have the willpower because you wouldn't be here to learn more about these products. And if you really want to transform your body, you really want to feel better, be more healthy, age more youthfully, you have in your hands right now not only something for you, but for everyone you talk to, everyone you touch, everyone in your downline, you have that information, okay? And you can change their lives, and they can change somebody else's lives. And I always like to end my talks with the comment that, you know, Jeunesse, as you see, is growing logarithmically. And the reason this company is growing, it's based on science, it's based on committed people, and what I like to tell everybody is you're not becoming just a distributor, you're becoming a source of information, you're becoming an ambassador to health to everybody you touch. So my best to every one of you, and I'll be here all the next few days to answer any questions.